I'd like to call the regular council meeting to order on Tuesday, March 18th, 2014, 7:30 PM in the Twinsburg Government Center. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Roden?
Here.
Mr. Sorese?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. McDermott?
Here.
Mr. Yates?
Here.
Okay, please join us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Sorese.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of March 11th, 2014. Are there any changes or corrections?
none here.
Okay, hearing none, the minutes stand as written. Shannon, we don't have any awards or okay.
There is none.
This evening. Okay, any audience participation?
There is none.
There is none, okay. All right, then I guess we'll move on to council communications and committee reports. Mr. Yates?
Yes, thank you. Well, since last week, I did have the planning commission did meet last night on St. Patrick's Day. And there was 3 items on the agenda. One was a lot split consolidation for addresses 893640 on Dale Road. That was tabled. And then Ms. Moore was there doing a presentation regarding this is the Post Road to Glenwood Improvement Project. So it was a right-of-way acquisition as well as a center line approval. And those were combined in a motion and passed. But there was discussion and explanations that went on regarding that project, so that project's continuing to move forward, and this is the widening from Post just north of Glenwood and encompassing the roundabout. Next Planning Commission meeting is set for April 7th, and just watch the website just in case nothing shows up and that meeting gets canceled. I would just like also to remind residents, we did move this meeting to accommodate spring break, but we're going to be coming up into a lot of events coming on at Parks and Rec. So just watch for those. All of our Easter events. We've got our Box Sucker Strut, which is a 5K. I don't dare to mention the adult Easter egg hunt. So it's going to be, I think, tickets go on sale tomorrow. And then also just one thing I'd just like to make a comment on. I really have never mentioned this, but over the last couple of years, I organized volunteers at a soup kitchen in Ravenna. It's also a food bank, and I take various groups out there that now know that I do that. And this past Sunday, I was out there and was accompanied by the head football coach for Twinsburg High School and 8 healthy football players. And it was just it was great. The coach approached me. He heard I'd organize volunteers for this, and it was just nice getting to know the kids and the coach. And so I just want to thank Coach Chavone for helping organize this. And I guess for any of the residents or anyone part of the school district, this is something I do once a month. So if you ever have a group of kids or a group of adults that are interested in some volunteer work, just please reach out to me through my email. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Roden, sorry.
The Environmental Commission met on this past Thursday. Just wanted to remind everybody of 2 upcoming events. One is May 17th. We're going to clean up Twinsburg. We're going to be out there and cleaning up the different areas of the city. And on June 14th, there is free paper shredding. So 2 good events coming up that they've been working hard on. So thanks, Daisy. And that's all I have for this evening.
Mr. Scafidi.
Thank you, Mrs. Stoffer. Good evening. The Board of Zoning Appeals will meet next Wednesday, March 26th at 6:30 here at the Government Center. That's all in my committee reports. I just want to mention earlier at the caucus meeting I brought up, I had a request from a resident. Tonight we have Ordinance 22, 2014 on the agenda. for final passage, and that's the raising of the rates for the outdoor pool. The increase is a 5% increase, and they haven't been increased in probably 5-6 years, I believe it's been. But the resident that reached out to me mentioned that she thought that there might be some families out there that were less fortunate and not even able to afford what we currently charge, let alone a 5% increase. And so we discussed possibly looking at some type of program that we could look at an income level program where those that make under a certain amount of money annually would be able to join the outdoor pool at a lesser rate. You know, council had a pretty good, we had a nice discussion about it up here, and it seems that the consensus is that it would be a little hard to administer, number one, find proof of income, number two, as well as, you know, if it goes for that program, I mean, how far does it go and how many programs do you get into before, you know, it gets out of hand? So, you know, we thought that, I know Councilman Yates and I had discussed it earlier, and we thought it was worth bringing to the table, and so that's what I did tonight. So I think at this time, it's we're just going to maybe put it on the back burner and look at it for a future time. So I just wanted to mention that now that that was our discussion earlier. Finally, I got a letter from a resident that I would like to read real quick if I could. It's a short little memo. She said, "Dear Mr. Scafidi, I want you to know how thankful I feel for the great services we have in Twinsburg. The snow plowing for the seniors has been great. The men come no matter how often or how bad the weather. They go to the extent of taking the snow away from the end behind the car. The waste company has been no less than heroic, taking the garbage even when it may be frozen to the ground or lid frozen to the container. I feel fortunate to live in Twinsburg. It's a very senior friendly. We have shops, restaurants, and hospitals at hand, and we are still not congested, thanks to good planning by our city government." So I want to thank that resident for that, because those kind of letters, I guess, are far and few between. So thank Ms. Lippett for her kind words, but also thank all the people here on the staff here at the city of Twinsburg. You know, our service department, who she mentioned, and those that plow the streets, and those that do the senior driveways, as well as Waste Management, our rubbish hauling company, who has done a great job this year through each and every storm and all the sub-zero weather. So, you know, my hat's off to them as well. So thank you for the kind words. We appreciate that. And that's the end of my report.
Well, thank you. Okay, my committees have not met, but we have scheduled a Public Works meeting for April 8th at 6 p.m. And that's all I have. Mr. Fury.
Thank you. Tomorrow, on the 19th, Wednesday the 19th, Ethan's Green Homer Association is going to have their annual meeting. It's at 7 o'clock at Dodge Middle School. Registration is at 6:30. Next week on the 25th, Tuesday the 25th, the Golf Course Advisory meeting Golf Course Advisory Group will get together at 6 o'clock at City Hall to review the recommendations to upgrade portions of Glen Eagles Golf Course. And then on Thursday, March 27th, we'll have the organizational meeting at 6:30 at City Hall for the redistricting committee. And that's all I have right now.
Okay, Mr. Sorese.
Thank you. None of my committees have met this week, but I did want to mention the Charter Review Commission will be back in session on Monday, March 31st, 7 o'clock, right here in council chambers. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott.
Yes, the Architectural Review Board has not met since the last meeting. However, they are meeting this week. It's Thursday, March 20th at 5:30 at council chambers. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Any department head reports? Anybody need to report tonight? Okay.
All right, like Mr. Yates mentioned, we have the egg hunt on sale tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. It'll go fast, so you want to get up there early. It's a maximum of 4 tickets per person. And then another one we're getting a lot of phone calls about is day camp. Sign up is on April 12th. It encompasses the entire time that kids are off from school, even that first week where I think you go to school through Tuesday, we start on Wednesday, so there's not a break when they're off of school. That's April 12th. Most of the information is online already, twinsburgrecreation.com, and click on day camp so you can see all the times, the pricing, and all that information. Township and Remindable residents can come to camp, but they cannot sign up until 2 weeks before camp starts, which has been the policy for a number of years. April 19th, like Mr. Yates mentioned, is our Bog Sucker Strut 5K. It's also our Breakfast with the Easter Bunny. It's also the Candy Scramble and the Wet Egg Hunt. Kind of, you know, you can be with me from 8 until 12. It's a wonderful day. We also have tennis lessons starting for kids next month. Safety Town signups are on April 12th, so that schedule's up on the website. Another one we get a lot of questions about is Tiger Shark Swim Team. Registration for that is April 7th. The information is under the Aquatics tab on the website. Spring break camp starts next week, and we also have a basketball academy clinic next week, Monday through Wednesday at the fitness center as well. And if we have I think all hiring is done, at least for day camp side, but any volunteers or lifeguards still need to get their applications in ASAP. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I know. Any other department head reports?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Ms. House.
As I mentioned at the last council meeting, that we did receive our first advance distribution for our local income tax, and we have our final collection for the month of March. And it appears that we are up. I do have an inquiry as to why we're up for the month of March, being that we anticipate from one month to the other that we would see some sort of a decrease. So I have an inquiry regarding that. But needless to say, for March, we have collected thus far $1,729,649. Compared to last year, we collected $1,486,355, which reflects a 16.37% increase compared to last year. That is also included in refunds of $12,081.55. Total year-to-date receipts collected for 2014 is $6,352,346 compared to last year, $4,909,71, which reflects also an increase of 29.4% for the year. The net distribution applied due to the 0.25% reduction is $224,624. So I will do a follow-up just to do an inquiry. I am hoping that it won't be the same as last year and the previous year, where they overestimate and disperse more than what's due, and then we wind up having a refund request again. I'm noticing that it tends to happen in the first quarter of each year is when we have that absorbent amount dispersed to us, and then later on, like third, fourth quarter, a request for a refund is given. So that tends to be the trend that's been going on for the last 3-4 years. So I will follow up with you on that information.
Okay. Thank you.
And I mentioned at the caucus meeting that although we do have the final 2014 appropriation on its third and final reading, forthcoming down the road, you will see a couple of amendments to reflect some of the new accounts that have been established as far as the revenue and appropriations, and to also include a transfer request to support the CIC expense. So that will be forthcoming to you, and it won't be required an emergency.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other department head reports? Nothing? Okay. All right, we're moving on to legislation. First, we have ordinance 19, 2014. Shannon?
The annual appropriation ordinance for the year 2014, prepared by council from estimates submitted by the mayor, providing for the ordinary expenses and other necessary expenses of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2014.
Okay, this is on its third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 19, 2014. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and the motion was made by Mrs. Stoffer, seconded by Mr. Sorese. Any discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 19, 2014 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 20, 2014. Shannon?
An ordinance establishing a special revenue fund titled Employee Retirement Payout Reserve Fund 292.
Okay, this is also on its third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 20, 2014. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It's seconded by Mr. Yates. Discussion? Discuss it now? Sorry, okay, any discussion on that? Okay.
This is an ordinance that's going to establish a fund so that when employees retire and they have to get their sick or vacation time paid back to them, that it comes out of a fund that we've budgeted for, as opposed to having it be a surprise and come out of the general fund. And at the same time, when they retire, that'll offset in the salary portion of the budget as well. So it's a new account, but it's really something that's been going on all along, just a different way to account for it.
Thank you. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 20, 2014 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 22, 2014. Shannon?
An ordinance amending Section 925.02 of the codified ordinances of the City of Twinsburg, setting the fees for the outdoor water park in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Okay, now this is also on its third and final reading, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 22, 2014. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It's seconded by Mr. Fury. Any discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 22, 2014 passes by a 7-0 vote. Next, we have ordinance 25, 2014. Shannon?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ohio State Auditor for the furnishing of professional services to provide for the audit for the financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2013, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 25, 2014, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion, and it was seconded by Mr. Sorese. Would you mind explaining why it needs to be an emergency for the
The reason why
audience?
it's on an emergency is because we had a pre-audit hearing, and what that is that they conduct a preliminary audit review to decide whether or not it's necessary for the city for the auditors to conduct a single audit, which means if we expense over $500,000 of federal money, it will be required to have a single audit. And being that we just had the pre-audit hearing prior to, or like in the middle of our last council meeting, when they submitted the contract, it was after the fact. And also, they didn't know what the pricing would be or what the work would entail until after that pre-audit meeting. So as a result of that, that's why I'm asking for it to be passed on an emergency, because they are currently conducting the audit.
Okay.
Bless you.
Well, thank you. Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
May I clarify one thing also?
Oh, sure.
Just to let you know, it has been budgeted, though. So.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 25, 2014 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Roden. Any further discussion?
I just want to say one thing. On the agenda, it says ordinance 25, 2013.
Oh, is that why I kept reading that number? Oh, okay.
Want to make a motion to amend it?
Do I need to make a motion to amend it?
Yeah.
All right. That was
Probably
just a
should,
joke.
right?
I was
Oh,
kidding.
uh-oh, I don't have to.
I was kidding, really was. So.
Okay. All right. Now you lost my,
Call the roll.
oh,
Yeah, who's
please, Shannon, could,
you?
oh, yes, Mr. Roden second. Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 225, 2014 passes 7-0, vote by a 7-0 vote as an emergency. Okay, next we have ordinance 26, 2014. Shannon.
An ordinance accepting the bid of Parent Asphalt Company, 525 Dan Street, Akron, Ohio, 44310 for the 2014 road improvements project and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this time I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 26, 2014, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Scafidi. And any discussion?
We need this on an emergency because we need to, as the weather will warm eventually, we want to wait, we want to get this contract going. If we didn't do an emergency, we'd have to wait until the end of April to get this going, so. And we want to start paving those roads as soon as possible.
Very good, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on that? All right, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 26, 2014 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Sorese. Any further discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 26, 2014 passes by a 7-0 vote as an emergency. Next, we have ordinance 27, 2014. Shannon?
An ordinance accepting the bid of Parent Asphalt Company, 525 Dan Street, Akron, Ohio, 44310 for the 2014 Catch Basin Repair Program and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on ordinance 27, 2014, place it on its third and final reading, and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Fury. Any discussion?
The same reason that this is emergency is for the last one. It's asphalt program. This is an annual renewal for the catch basin maintenance, and we want to be able to do that as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay, emergency clause passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 27, 2014 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll yield.
Yeah. Okay, I made the motion. It was seconded by Mr. Yates. Any further discussion? Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 27, 2014 passes by a 7-0 vote as an emergency. Okay, that's the end of our legislation. So now moving on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. McDermott?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sorese?
Nothing here, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Fury?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay, I have nothing as well. Mr. Scafidi?
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Roden?
I also have nothing.
And Mr. Yates?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, Mr. Maestros?
Nothing, thank you.
All right.
As
Shannon?
usual, nothing.
Okay, all right, with no further business, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
A second?
We just banged
Shannon,
the gavel.
call the roll? Does she call the roll for that?
You
Nope.
just banged the gavel.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Adjourn.
We're adjourned, thank you.